The ugly dragon in the kingdom of Ethelgard beauty was the only currency that mattered. The spires of the capital were carved from ivory, and the citizens were groomed to a degree of porcelain perfection that made them look more like statues than people. Kaelan, however, was the exception. As a blacksmith, his skin was perpetually stained with soot, his hands calloused and scarred by the forge. He was a shadow in a city of light, tolerated only because he could shape the steel the king's knights required to hunt the abomination. The abomination was a dragon unlike any described in the old scrolls. Its scales were not shimmering gold or deep crimson, but a jagged, asymmetrical mess of obsidian and rusted iron. Its wings were torn, trailing ribbons of leathery skin that whistled in the wind, and its roar didn't shake the earth with fury. It vibrated with a hollow, soul-deep anguish. When the king offered a bounty of pure sun gold for the beast's head, Kaelan didn't join the hunt for the reward. He followed the trail of scorched earth and broken trees because he recognized the cadence of that roar. It sounded like a song he had forgotten the lyrics to. He found the dragon's lair in the cinder crags, a place where the air was thick with sulfur and the silence of a grave. But instead of a hoard of gold, the cavern was filled with shattered mirrors and rusted armor. The dragon sat in the center of the debris, its great, twisted head resting on its claws. As Kaelan approached, the beast didn't strike. It simply watched him with eyes that were a piercing, familiar shade of sapphire, eyes that didn't belong on a monster. "You aren't a hunter," the dragon rasped, the voice sounding like grinding stones. "You smell of coal and honest sweat." As Kaelan worked in the secret of the cave, bringing his tools to repair the jaggedness he realized was actually a physical manifestation of a curse, he uncovered the truth. Centuries ago, a jealous sorcerer had sought to punish the kingdom's most beloved figure by turning his internal light into an external nightmare. The ugly dragon was no beast at all. It was the lost Prince Alaric, the man Kaelan had served and loved in a life that felt like a half-remembered dream. The twist was a sudden flood of memories, unlocked by the heat of the forge and the proximity of the prince's soul. Kaelan hadn't just been a blacksmith. He had been Alaric's shield-bearer, the one who had stayed behind to hold the line while the prince fled the sorcerer's wrath. He had died in that life, only to be reborn in a cycle of service, destined to find his prince again in his hour of greatest deformity. Saving the dragon meant forging a new heart from the star metal Kaelan had kept hidden for years. But as the king's knights closed in on the lair, their ivory armor gleaming in the sun, Kaelan realized that lifting the curse wouldn't bring back the prince the kingdom remembered. It would reveal a man scarred by centuries of solitude and pain. He had to decide if he was willing to protect a love that the world would still consider ugly, or if some memories were better left as ash in the forge. He took up his hammer, not to kill the dragon, but to defend the man trapped inside it, standing between his past and a kingdom that had forgotten the meaning of true grace. The sound of horses and the clatter of porcelain-white plate mail echoed up the crags. Kaelan stoked the portable furnace he had hauled into the dark, the star metal glowing with a violet intensity that rivaled the dragon's eyes. Outside, the Knight Commander's voice rang out, demanding the beast's head in the name of the king's aesthetics. To them, the dragon was a blemish on the horizon that needed to be erased. "They are coming for the perfection they lost," Alaric whispered, his massive body trembling. "Let them take it, Kaelan. I am tired of being the shard in their eye." "I didn't die for a shard," Kaelan growled, his hammer striking the star metal with a sound like a tolling bell. "I died for a man who knew that a scar is just a map of where you've been." As the knights breached the entrance, their swords raised against the ugly dark, Kaelan plunged the finished heart, a lattice of cooling violet steel, into the center of the dragon's chest. The explosion of light wasn't the blinding gold of the capital. It was the deep, bruised purple of a sunset. The jagged scales didn't fall away. They smoothed into skin. The wings didn't vanish. They folded into a heavy, dark cloak. When the dust settled, Alaric stood in the center of the cave. He was no longer a dragon, but he was far from the ivory prince of the statues. He was a man with hair the color of coal, smoke, and eyes that carried the weight of 1,000 winters. His face was lined with the history of his torment, a map of sorrow that the knights found more repulsive than the monster he had been. "Kill it," the commander shouted, recoiling from the sight of a man so visibly broken. "The abomination has merely taken a human shape." Kalen stepped forward, his soot-stained hand finding Alaric's scarred one. He didn't see an abomination. He saw the soul he had chased across lifetimes, finally home, finally real. He raised his hammer one last time, not as a blacksmith, but as a shield-bearer. Ethelgard could keep its ivory and its porcelain. In the darkness of the Cinder Crags, he had found something far more precious, a truth that was allowed to be imperfect.